Hello and welcome to another inspiring episode of Global Desi Women. I'm your host, Arti Salanki, business coach, real estate broker, and your Desi podcaster. Along with me today, I have my amazing co-host, Bhavna Shelley, a brilliant business analyst, and we are so excited to introduce our guest today. She is a woman who wears many hats. Co founder and brand director of a tea box company that has redefined how the world experiences Indian tea, author of a beautiful book called The Silent Hour, and a creative mind behind much loved Instagram account, AM with Prachi. So let's grab your cup of chai and join us as we welcome Prachi Jain, a storyteller, entrepreneur, creative soul who turns both tea and words into unforgettable experience. Welcome, Prachi, to Global Desi Women. We truly appreciate your presence today.
Thank you so much, Arti, for bringing me here. I think it's a great platform and to share my story and to really hear from you guys as well. Thank you, Bhavna, as well.
Thank you. Welcome, welcome. So let's start with the tea because it's your journey into the tea box is truly remarkable. And can you tell us how the early days were? Like, how did you think of starting that? What were the challenges? It wasn't like one day you woke up at 3 a.m. and said, I'm going to start a tea box.
Back then, I never used to wake up at 3. But this idea is not mine, actually. It's my
Okay.
husband's, Kaushal, who is into tea business. He's born and brought up in Siliguri, and his parents and his entire family has been into the tea. So one day when he comes back from Singapore, he decides that, I need to do something in tea, which is different. For over 200 years since the Britishers left us, the industry pretty much had not changed. It was still
Mm,
functioning the same way. And he said, okay, coffees are being sold from the source to different countries. Why not tea and why not Indian teas? So he goes knocking to the estate owners, and they were very clear that they will sell only to the Firans,
mm,
only white people, no
wow.
Indian.
Mm,
So that was like, okay, nothing has actually changed.
yeah.
And that's when because he had to start this business and also he propped a buyer and he of course was a Firang. And then the buying started to happen. And then he started to buy the teas. And he was at a point where he was single handedly doing the procurement, the marketing, the customer support, and everything. By then, I had not married him.
I
So
see.
the initial years of what he tells me is actually this. Then, cut to, I come into the picture and we start to make this a brand. It was earlier called Darjeeling Tea Express.
Okay.
And then we brainstormed, we realized if we want to sell Indian teas, then Darjeeling is not the only region or the terroir that defines it. There is
Right.
Assam, there's Nilgiri, there's Kangra, there's quite a bit of,
Mm,
range that we have as a country. So we said, why not name it something else? And that was when, internet or e-com had just picked up.
right.
Flipkart has just started in India, and it was a very slow e-commerce thing going on. And we said, now is the right time to catch the bus. So we said, okay, when we looked at a lot of US-based brands, D2C brands, and we realized that a lot of them had small names
Yeah.
and very catchy, very easy to type and things like that. So we brainstormed and finally found tbox.com.
Mm,
And we said, okay, this kind of encompasses the entire thing that we want to offer. So hence we started the rebranding, exercise and all of that. Then we came to a point where we got really good traction and we said, now an investment will help. That's when Axel Partners got into the picture.
mm,
Things even didn't change then. Even now, our team was struggling to go to the plantations and procure good teas.
mm.
And it was like when we used to go, the manager himself would say कि manager बाहर गया है ही नहीं वो, he's not here, he's gone
Wow.
out.
Is it because they wanted like a bigger orders or they don't want to work with small companies or is that the main reason that they would not want a deal?
So from what I understand, Britishers left us with chai, saying the dust and the lowest quality you Indians drink, we are going to export all the good teas back home.
Mm,
And slowly and steadily, this kind of became the mindset, is what I'm assuming, because after Axel invested in us, we weren't small. We were expanding, we were growing, we had a We had hired one of the best creative agency from US called Pentagram. I mean, we were the only Indian company to do so back then. We
Right.
paid quite a huge amount to get them on board and to do our entire rebranding of packaging and things like that. But somehow things were not changing. What
Mm.
changed was when Mr. Ratan Tata invested himself personally into our company. That's when
Mm.
everyone was now listening. They were like,
Right.
okay, what is Steve Works? What are they doing? Because by then we were ridiculed of the idea of how can tea be sold online? You know, tea
Right.
needs to be tasted, it needs to be smelled. How can you sell it online? But then Kaushal's idea was very clear. He was like, wine can be sold, coffee can be sold. Then wine is tea difficult.
Yeah.
You could have the same tasting notes. You could really explain with visual elements and things like that. So when Mr. Ratan Tata invested, then the same manager, the incident I was telling you before, the same manager shows up into our office and he says, "Hello, I'm the manager. Can we discuss? Can we discuss working
Wow.
together?" I think that was one of the tipping points. And
Wow.
the other that happened for us was, I think, a big article on New York Times. That day, our entire website crashed, and because we weren't prepared for such a huge influx of customers on our website that day, and we were in Shopify,
Oh.
in those days because Shopify wasn't there. We were on this platform called Magento and everything was coded and things like that.
Mhm.
So when that influx of customers came, it just crashed and we were like, oh my God, now this is a great opportunity.
Right.
There are people outside India looking at such deeds. And I'm not talking of a chai, I'm not talking of
Right.
this concoction that we make in
Right.
India, right? These are like teas equivalent to whiskeys, wine. One of the most expensive teas we have sold in around the world is almost 2 lakh rupees a kg. Now,
Wow.
you guys can put it to pounds or
Yeah.
whatever and tell your audience. But that was and interestingly, we sold 45% of it in India. So that was also a very big eye opener for us. And our
Mm.
teas are usually ranging between like 35,000, 50,000, 20,000 rupees a kg because these are very high end quality teas that are
Right.
specifically made in Darjeeling and in certain parts of Nilgiri and in certain parts of Assam. So
Right.
this is what our offering is from a tea box standpoint, that we take pride in the fact that we only sell Indian teas and we're here to really bring out the Indian variety to the entire world. We source the
Mm.
best and the freshest. And that what keeps us, apart from any of our competitors because none of our competitors function out of Silicon. And we
Mm.
still do. From a business standpoint, it's easy for me to be in Mumbai or Delhi or Calcutta for that matter because the ports are close by. The logistics is easy. But we still prefer to be in Siliguri because the teas come to us within few hours of its making. And that
Right.
makes a whole huge difference of how it is stored, how it is consumed, and things like that.
Yeah. So do y'all also have like a lot of tasting and a lot of testing what which tea is the best, or how do you evaluate like which from which farm or which tea, bug, or however it's whatever it's called, you pick? How do you choose those?
We have a team, and we were fortunate enough to have someone, a pioneer in the tea industry. He's
Mm.
80 plus now. He joined us very early, and he had the experience of working with the best in the industry. So when he joined, we slowly built a company of the team of about 3, 4 people who would do the procurement because they knew tea in and out.
Mm.
They would smell, they would look at the appearance first, then they would taste the liquor, then they would also look at the infusion of how spongy it is or how big the leaves are and what is the taste like. And there are a lot of parameters. Tea box follows this 8 step parameter where every tea, according to its appearance in the dry form, appearance and taste and smell in its liquid form. So there are different parameters on which we check everything. The most important parameter that we check of any tea is the moisture content. That is what defines the freshness. Because most of the teas, if you just kind of open and smell, there'll be a slight musty smell. And that
Mm.
comes from the fact that it has traveled a long distance.
Mm.
From the plantation, it's probably gone to an auction house, from auction to the exporters, from the exporters to the retailers, and then finally to you guys. So it takes about 9 to 12 months for you to reach. And most of them are not packed well. When I mean packed, they have porous packaging, most of them.
Mm.
which kind of makes your tea, and tea is hygroscopic. So it just catches the moisture very quickly. And when that happens, the tea starts to lose its actual taste, the
Taste.
crisp, the floral, and things like that. So
Yeah.
that's when we started to decide to vacuum pack our teas. And
Oh,
these are all the steps we kind of follow. And we are very picky during a season, which is the first flush season in Darjeeling, which happens about end of April to, you know, May kind of. Our team is tasting on an everyday basis over 100 cups.
wow.
And we ultimately end up only choosing about 25 teas on the overall season.
Mm,
So that's how picky we are. And it doesn't matter, honestly, which estates the tea comes from. The quality needs to match.
right.
Because we've seen over the years that even a small garden has been able to produce a magnificent tea.
Mm,
And when that happens, we don't say, oh, you're not Castleton, you're not Market. So, we're like, okay, great tea. And one of the best things also we've done is we don't rename our teas. We keep them from the name of the estate itself. Like if you would on our website see a black tea from a Margaret's Hope will be called Margaret's Hope Black Tea.
ah,
So
very
that's
nice.
pretty much, yeah, because if not, how do you give back to the source? You
Right.
need to not change the name. You need to identify, you need to recognize the heritage of these estates that they've been carrying, their legacy estates, who have
Right.
been
Right.
around for 100 plus years now. So,
So it's pretty much
yeah,
like I feel like I'm understanding is pretty much like from farm to directly into your box and then it goes to the customer. So there is
there's
no
quite a bit of process. There's quite a bit of process in between, of course. Even if these teas are made in the estates, there's a lot of it that Tea Box does.
right.
We bulk vacuum pack it. We have a dehumidified facility, which no one in India at least have for tea. And
Mm,
all of this plays for freshness. We bulk vacuum because we immediately want to not the tea not to have its four enemies around, which is light, moisture, oxygen, and
right.
the smell and things like that. Then we kind of bulk vacuum them in small. Before that, we have a step called the sorting, where we have a line of sorters who sort the tea. Because
Mm,
most of the times you find people, there are bangle bits, there are grass bits, there are small
mm,
twigs found
yeah.
in the tea. We
Yeah.
cannot remove them. Then we also grade the teas. Most of what you find in the tea bags, for example, are the dust, which is the lowest quality.
Yeah.
And the top are the whole leaf, and then there is fannings, and then there's brokens, and then there is fannings. So our team also does the grading to ensure that only the whole leaf goes to the customer, and the
Yeah.
rest we kind of scrape it off.
Yeah.
So these are all the
And that's
steps.
a very
So
good point because a lot of times, even though we buy the tea from here, the loose tea, when we open the bag, like when you mentioned that, it just clicked me because every time when I open a new bag, I always like to smell it. And a lot of times, sometimes it smells really good. You can tell that this bag was not on the shelf for very long. But sometimes when you open it, it surprises me that it has a really kind of like a dusty smell to it. And
yeah,
that tea bag, I'm telling you, I feel like, oh gosh, this is not a good tea. But really, you can tell if the tea bag was on the shelf for a very long time or it was
yeah.
not with that dusty smell itself. Actually, Bhavna probably can share our story about Hong Kong, and we had an awesome time. We went crazy tasting teas. We went really
Wow.
crazy tasting teas. We loved it so much.
And
Oh my
they have a ritual. They'll let you sit down and they're gonna steep the tea and then they'll serve you in a little different way and
Yeah,
it's an experience in its own.
God.
I
absolutely.
wanted to actually ask you related to that. The granule tea that we have, like a loose leaf, but what you're doing, you're mostly into the green tea kind of packaging where you also do the granule. To me, I think the granule is the lowest level when it's done and they dry it out and then that's it. But as you go up, there are some standards like the first cut or the next and the next, and as they keep on cutting it, it becomes as a lower quality. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Okay, so couple of things. So what I'm talking about are primarily black teas, which are the high grade teas that tea box deals with. Of course, we have a range of green, we have a range of white and oolongs, which again only select estates kind of produce. But To your point, the granules, are you talking about chai? Chai.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Now, chai does not come from Darjeeling. It comes from a plain tea estate. I mean, plains, I'm meaning not a mountainous area like Darjeeling, like
Okay.
Assam, which is a low land. And chai can only be produced there because, like wine, the terroir in tea really matters.
Mm.
And in Assam, the tea leaves that you get are robust, very strong cup, like your English breakfast. Most of them are mixed with Assam, Kenyan, and Sri Lankan teas to give you that strong kick in the morning, which most of the Britishers and around the world people love. These teas are processed in a very different way. They are called CTC, which means cut, tear, curl, which means you cut
Mm.
them, you tear them, you curl them, you bring them into those danas that you were talking about,
Mm.
Mm.
those beads like, right? Even here, of course, there is grading. Even this range of CTC, which is the chai category, have the range of, different, like how you have brokens, dust, pannings here. You also have dust, I think there's BOPP and things like that, which again talks of the grading, which means dust, a little, very little dana, then there's medium, then there is there are huge ones also.
Huge ones.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, here, interestingly, the huge ones do not mean that they are good because when you want, what you want out of a chai, you want a kadak cup, right? You want something
Mhm.
that gives you color and also gives you that kick, right?
Yeah.
Now, with what happens in the big dana is that when you put it in the tea, you need to put more because the density is high. And,
Mhm.
hence you have to keep putting at least 3 spoons to make your tea kadak.
Right.
Right.
Whereas when you go to the lower part of it, which is your, say, dust and the little, even the tinier dana, here what happens is the minute you put a spoon, entire tea is gone like super cut up.
Mm.
Because then, but what loses there is the flavor. What you
Mm.
will probably taste is a little bitter
Bitter.
concoction. Yeah. Now that's when the medium, which is the balanced, which is the right density, which is the right dana, so that you put probably 1 teaspoon or one and a half, and you're sorted, you're good to go because your cup is now flavorful. It's also not bitter. It just
Mhm.
gives you the right amount of kick that you need.
Mm.
So in chai, the whole thing kind of changes. And
Yeah.
of course, chai is picking up all over the world like it's no one's business.
Yeah. You can get chai now everywhere.
Everywhere. And you have scones and ice creams and so many things made out of chai these days.
Yep. Yep. Even soaps. Even soaps.
Even soaps. Yes, yes, absolutely. Masala chai soap. Yes, absolutely.
I came across one of the chai soap, and I was when I was reading it, and I'm like, "What?" I think I misread it. Let me read it again. I'm like, "Oh, okay."
So then, Prachi, your tea, what you're really into is the one that grows on the mountains, and then they're still leaves, right? But
Yeah,
maybe
dried leaves. I
the
believe.
quality or the type of the tea is different. Is that just enlighten us with the like? We really don't know. I know
Right.
we were in India at the airport, and there was a tea store, and over there, he had like big boxes and boxes of teas and every one of them had a different aroma. It had a different flavor. And as you said, they were expensive teas, right? So, I mean, I'm glad that company like yours actually brings out the good stuff for the Indians to consume, which is really, really good because, yeah, we produce it, but we could never have it. Similar to rice, right?
Yeah.
Indians produce the best quality basmati, but for
Yeah.
many, many years,
Yeah,
Indians never got any of those to consume.
yeah,
Absolutely.
It was completely done for exports, and that's it. And
Yeah.
Indians were wind up with low quality rice, and that's what they consumed.
yeah,
So I'm really glad that you actually were able to pull out that top quality stuff and then
Yeah.
provide it to the Indian. So how do you compete when it comes to tea against the Japanese or the Chinese tea and also American tea? Right? There's America also have lots of brands like Bigelow and all the other
Yeah,
brands
there's a
that are
few.
into flavored tea, right? How
Right.
do you see yourself against these companies?
Okay, to your first question, from a terroir perspective, the tea leaves are the same.
Mm,
What gives them the flavor is the terroir again, the soil, the climatic conditions. So what you produce in Assam can never be produced in Darjeeling, can never be produced in Nilgiri, because every region have their own quality that they bring into the tea leaves. And the tea leaves are the same, but how they are processed makes them a oolong, makes them a black, makes them a white, and makes them a green.
okay.
Every tea, I mean, if you want to make a green tea, then the whole process is different. They go through roasting, fermentation, and quite a bit of things, right? Curling and steaming and drying and rolling, and there are a lot of different steps. Now, for few, like for white teas, they are the least amount of teas which are gone through processing. They are the least, because white teas are very expensive, very rare. Only the top two leaf and a bud are plucked for that. Only that, only those tiny buds are produced. Like say
Wow.
if someone's plucking about say 10 kgs of those leaves, fresh leaves, when they convert into the tea that you drink, you're probably left with only two or three. That's
Wow.
the amount of care and love and all of this is given to white teas because they are very delicate. But the same thing, like for chai, like I was telling you, the CTC, the name itself is like crushed chai curl. And here you don't now pick the two leaf in a bud. You probably pick more larger leaves as well, and you get them to roll and the CTCs are produced. So at T-Box, we do both, or we do everything. To your second question as to how we compete, there are only few, I mean, now you have a lot of brands doing what we're doing, but still not doing what we're doing. That primarily when I stated, we're still in Siliguri because freshness is our key point, and that's how we make the whole difference. The companies that you mentioned are not our competitors
Okay.
because they do not cater to what we are catering to.
Mm.
They cater to your tisanes, your flavored green teas, a little mass-produced black teas like your English breakfast, your
Earl Grey or,
all gray. Yeah, exactly. And they'll have one staple Darjeeling, they'll have one staple classic Assam.
Right.
Now, again, their catering is very different because if you see even their tea bags, for example, because most of these companies give you in tea bag form, which is the most
Right.
consumed. Here you will find the lowest grade. So
Mm.
when I put a green tea bag from a hotel in one of, in a hot water, the
Mm,
color just comes.
mm.
And within seconds, if you don't take out the tea bag, your tea is bitter. Now you can't have that.
Right.
So this A does not give you a lot of health benefits. There's no flavor. There's no, we are drinking tea. You're not drinking boiled water, a flavored boiled water. That's the whole difference, right?
Mm.
So, I mean, we at Tea Box really like again drawing the parallel of wines and whiskeys. For us, it's actually goddess, sitting right on the top. Treat her well. And no wonder people in China and Japan have a tea ceremony because they realize that tea is something that helps them slow down.
Yeah.
And in India, unfortunately, tea culture or our tea ceremony is loud slurps. We're like because
Yeah.
chai is what chai is what we all consume with
Right.
dunking our biscuits
Yeah.
inside it. So, but we take pride in that as well.
It's
And we
any time
create
is a chai time for us.
any time is a chai time. Any mood is a chai time.
Right.
Anyone comes as a chai time. Yeah. And at T-Box, that's why we took pride, and we have a range of teas which are inspired by different cities of our country. Like we have
Mm.
a Bombay cutting, we have a Kashmiri saffron rose, we have Punjabi masala. So the naming conventions are
Yeah.
also like this.
You have a
And we
karak
did this like
chai. I
about,
saw that.
yeah.
Do,
So, yeah.
do you find them price wise also? Do you compare them? Like, if you're going for the quality and just producing the top level, going through so much rigorous, kind of processes, it must add on your cost to really, be in the market.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does. And hence, I wouldn't want to call us expensive, but we are price premium. And
Mm,
that's rightly so, because if I had to offer the same what's in the market, then
Then there's,
I
yeah,
wouldn't open a tea brand. It's
right.
as simple as that. But what
Yeah.
we do, we have a very rigorous quality, and we are okay. Probably not becoming that huge at this point in time, but we are very much focused on quality, and we would continue to do that.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's all about once you have it, you'll know the difference, right?
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
so it's just getting that tea into your hands, especially people who really like tea. Like I enjoy matcha, and I have the wooden thing where I'll make it.
Yeah, with the
Yeah, I'll
whisk.
make the
Yeah.
matcha shot, and then I'll drink that, and I always make sure that I have ceremonial matcha and not the
Mm,
regular thing
yeah.
that is used for cooking and everything. You don't want
Yes.
to get hands on that. But
Right.
so people who are into really into tea, once they see,
Yeah.
they probably wouldn't mind paying for it because they know what they're getting.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have customers since the time Tea Box was called Darjeeling Tea Express, and
Yeah.
they don't switch. We've had customers who have written poems after drinking our Jangpana Muscatel, for example.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's a huge one. Yeah. And they are like, and there was a customer who said, dude, and he had a manager friend in one of the Darjeeling estates. And he was like, dude, I got buy from you or buy from Tea Box. Why is your taste so different? And why is Tea Box is different? And he actually answered back saying, we don't have the kind of facility that they have. Because if today, in a second flush, which is happening right now, if you buy a tea now and you say you want to buy the next lot of the same quality in the month of January, whereas in our facility, it's stored so beautifully, but in an estate, it's probably stored in the same, carton or paper bags, and you just keep it, right? Now,
Yeah.
the same tea when dispatched in January from them versus us, there'll be a huge difference. And he
Yeah.
was like, my God, this is like insane because I'm buying it from my friend who is the estate manager, and I have to go to Tea Box to buy from where they are buying.
But
So that's the whole difference, right? Of how you keep
wow.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like Bhavna said, it's all about like once you get the taste of a good stuff, you never want to go back to
Yeah.
which is average, right? You want to have the good stuff.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about your book, The Silent Hour, and then I guess we'll get into the conversation of 3 a.m. because I think Bhavna and I both are like kind of like interested in knowing that. Do you take naps in the afternoon?
Okay. So for the very same questions that you guys have, somehow and it was orchestrated by the divine and not by me, honestly, because there was no intention of putting this out to the world and becoming, I wouldn't want to call myself influencer, but okay, there's a following. So let's name it for now. It so happened that we launched an Ayurvedic chai, and everyone in the team was like, Prachi, you are like so big Kango and Ayurveda, and you follow it also. Why don't we do your dincharya and put it out for people, and we, kind of include the product. And hence we shot those two videos that, one evening routine and one morning routine. And by then I had a page which had only 300 followers. So I just put out that saying, okay, a lot of people keep asking, to 3 baje utke kya karti hai? What do you do? So I'm like, okay, let's put this out. And that went viral. I got about 4 million views on that.
Wow.
Slowly from 300, my following shot to 3.
Wow.
And now it felt like a, responsibility to keep these 25K engaged. Because now I'm like, okay, now what do I do? Because it was never intended. It was just, and I never in my wildest dreams even thought that it would happen this way.
Right.
So it went, and then slowly, it steadily rose up to 70. And I started to put basic content because I don't have a team. Now I can't, like, when I'm brushing, I can't keep shooting myself all the time. Not possible. So I'm like, okay, let's address all the steps that I went through and make it as first for a lot of people to understand that why it is important. And then, of course, during this whole process, I also delved deeper into our ancient texts and things like that. And it became more like a wisdom, something that came so naturally to me, turned into something which already existed.
Mm.
So that's how the whole journey of 3 a.m. began on Gram. But that's not how it began for me. About 6, 7 years back, this is something I wrote in my book. And I'll just go a little back before I answer your question as to why the book.
Right.
It so happened that I was diagnosed with thyroid. We had just shifted to Bangalore. Dia was about, I think, 2.5, 3 years old. I had no help. And we had just, had opened a new office in Bangalore with so much going on. I used to become very irritable, grumpy, would, would shout at her a lot of times and then feel guilty and then cry. But it happened like a continuous thing. And I couldn't stop it. And I didn't know what to do. One day it happened. What struck me was that I never wanted Dia to remember or to know this as her mother.
Right.
Like when she grows big, I don't want her to remember that my mother was angry all the time. She was irritating. I mean, she was
Yeah.
irritable all the time. I sat down. I said, "This needs to change now because she's 2, she's 3, she's turning 3, and I cannot continue because the first." And I've been reading parenting and all that because they say 7 years of bullshit, and I'm panicking here, saying 3 years I've lost. I only have 4 more years. How will I build the foundation if I don't change myself?
Right.
Hence the whole journey of saying, okay, why not? What I do is I was always an early riser because our school started at 5:30 when I was in Madurai at
Mm.
9 to 12. So after 10, I don't remember waking up as much ever in my life. So I
Yeah.
said, why don't we go back to that, because that came naturally to me, honestly. And I said, okay, 6 o'clock उठ रही हूँ, 5 करते हैं इसको. Let me just push it to 1 hour before she wakes up so that I
Mm.
get some me time. And I've done a lot of inner child healing during that time. I have done quite a bit. I mean, I've done few sessions before these things happen. And then I left it saying, okay, time aayega tab karenge, we'll do it later. And I just brushed it under the carpet. But now I couldn't brush it anymore. So I was like, okay, come on now, let's head on address them. So
Yeah.
it took this 1 hour to just do that. And I saw very great changes in me. And
Mm.
hence I said, okay, now let's push it to one more because now I need to work on my physical, health as well. मेरे को अभी asanas करने हैं, प्राणायाम भी करना है. And during this time, my reading started. And then I learned a lot about meditation and things like that and how important it is. So I'm like, okay, इसको भी अब करना है. So that's how pushing, it came to 3. And I said,
Yeah.
and a lot of people around me were like, Bhaiya, stop. Now
Yeah.
don't go too, okay? Because that's going to be like very weird.
Yeah. Or else you'll be like those rishi munis and sage in olden time, 2 o'clock. They go and go for a bath in the river and then come back.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone was like, no, up 3 ho gaya. Of course, 7 was insane to go to sleep because if I had to do 2, I had to sleep at 7. And I
Yeah.
said, 7 is too much. Dia won't have her playtime with her friends and things like that. So we then stuck to, 8 o'clock sleeping and 3 o'clock waking up. But this is the whole journey of, why I started to wake up at 3. The
Yeah.
book was never an intention, again, like I said. Everything feels like I was just like a robot doing it. It happened. And I don't know how to explain it, honestly. Because all the questions that you guys have, right? Like, do you nap? When do you sleep? Okay, I did it for 5 days. Now I'm unable to continue. And so many similar questions I started to get. And then I read this book called Happy Money by Ken Honda. And
Mm.
he did something where he said that all his wisdom he put into papers and he got Xeroxes and stapled them and he started to distribute them in playgrounds.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, this seems like a good idea. Why not create a small PDF with all the questions? And it was never monetary, because the thought process wasn't like, कि
Right.
इससे पैसा बनाना है, no money,
Right. Right.
So only a PDF and I'll share it with everyone. That's how I started to write it.
Mm.
And slowly and steadily, my friends, I don't know how it took the shape of a book. I'm wondering even now because the printing, the girl, the guy who did the printing, she's a friend of mine. Her name is Neha. The designer's name is Neha. So I was like, okay, something is happening which I'm not aware of. Let it just happen.
As a universe creating it for you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because I'm no seasoned writer, I don't write as much. But what I have done is I've very simplified it. Because when
Right.
I read a lot of self-help books,
Yeah.
I what I've realized is there is a lot of knowledge that there are no steps to turn it into wisdom in your daily life. Yeah, you feel good. You're like, oh wow, 5 steps. Okay, now let's do this. But I'm like, No, now why did I start to wake up at 5? Because it was a very strong why that I had.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to, change as a mother for Dia, work on myself so that I could be a better person.
Right.
That kind of propelled me to be consistent. No
Yeah.
matter what, that those sacred hours, that 1 hour that I got in the early years was so sacred that I was like, no, I want it, no matter what.
Right.
So there was no way of me slumping down. I never did. So when a lot of people say 4 days and see fifth day, I slumped back and I'm like, okay. So then I'm questioning. I'm like, Prachi, why didn't you slump?
Yeah.
And hence I got the answer that, your why was strong. So here now the step one of the pages in the book is about go figure out your why.
Yeah.
Why do you want it? So I've given like examples of go ahead, talk to yourself. Okay. And I want to exercise. Okay. Now, why do you want to exercise? Because I want to look good. Now, why do you want to look good?
Yeah.
It actually nails down to that.
Do that.
Because at the
Yeah.
core, yeah, because at the core of it, we are not attuned with ourselves. And hence we go, okay, everyone's into health. Me also have to be into health. But
Yeah.
that may not be our reason.
Yeah.
It can be a part of it, yes, of course. But
Yeah.
so
So
yeah,
do you
things like
have
that.
certain rituals that you follow in the morning? So to tell you, for me, I it doesn't matter what time I wake up. Maybe it's 7, 5, 8, it doesn't matter. But I do have a ritual. I pray as soon as I get up from the bed, and then I say my gratitude. I pray the mother earth. I pray for I be thankful for everything I have, and
Yeah,
then after my gratitude and everything is done, my prayer is done, and then I get out of the bed. I literally then I step out of the bed. That's
yeah,
no that is just like you said, it's just so inbuilt in me that
yeah,
it's not like that I can just get up and just walk out. It's just so natural. It doesn't matter even
yeah,
if I'm traveling or I'm wherever I am. I still do
yeah,
that, right?
yeah.
Do you have a specific ritual that you follow? Since you wake up at 3, I'm pretty sure you have really good rituals that you follow. You have all the time in the world.
I'm not sure they're great rituals, but what I do, like again, like you said, when you wake up, you pray, you thank the divine for giving you this abundance and to give you this kind of life. Of course, that's the first thing I do. Then after I wake up, I straight away head to the kitchen. Now I need to prep for the day. So open the fridge, see what's there, what I need to prep for breakfast, what do I give Dia when she wakes up, and so I plan the entire day's meal. And I do
Mm.
some prep like if I have to make soup in the morning, then I'll chop veggies, put them in the cooker, pour water, and keep it. So that when she wakes up and when it goes on the gas, I do those simple things like peeling almonds. I have an eye wash concoction, so I then strain that, things like that, very small, small stuff. Then I do the laundry, of course. So these are the few things that kind of just gets my engine warmed up because
Yeah.
I like to kind of go a little, like a work mode in the morning, and then I slow down. So then after that, I start my daily ablutions, which are like, of course, your brush and drinking water and malasan and then going to your washroom and then you're doing your eye, your oil pulling, the nasal drops and abambyam, which is massage. So all of this takes me about another 25, 30 minutes. And then after that, I do asanas for about again 25 to 30 minutes. Then I go take a bath. Then I do pranayama a little bit, and then I get into my meditation, which for now is a little longer, about 45 to 1 hour. And
Mm.
then if there is time and Dia is not up by then, is when I actually start to, be with her. And if not, then I read a little bit, journal, reply on Insta, DMs, and things like that. So few things I keep a little fluid. Few things are very strict that we
Yeah.
cannot not, we shouldn't change these.
Right.
So yeah, and by the time I'm done with all this, it's already 5:45, 6. So this is how the pretty much the 3 hours are like
Wow.
planned.
Yeah. I always thought that the waking up at 3 a.m. So we call it, what is the hour called? Brahma
Brahma
Muhurat.
Muhurat.
Brahma Muhurat.
Yes.
So I thought that, as far as I know, that is the best hour to meditate, right?
Yes.
And I always had that question that if I ever wake up at 3, do they really shower and then do the meditation? Or can you just wake up and brush and then you sit in the meditation? Because I always had that question. I always wanted to ask this to somebody because I'm like, how do you do that? How is the purest or the best way? Because you also don't want to miss that Brahma Muhurat and not do that during the time where the real enlightenment or the connection to the universe is meant to be, right? So
Right.
I always, if you know it, answer it.
Have you seen, if you've been to Rishikesh, Haridwar, all these kind of places, then okay. So you will see rishis first going into the Ganga. They take the
Mm,
dip, then they
okay.
come out.
Yeah.
And in the morning wee hours, and it's so cold. So for
Right.
them, it doesn't matter. So what I've understood of a little bit of energy is that when you are asleep and you wake up, the energy of that body of that sleeping body is still there.
Mm,
You want to brush it off. You want to now say, I'm awake. You want to cleanse that part and then sit in meditation so that it becomes a little bit more deeper for you as an experience. So
mm. And you
for me,
feel
bath is
refreshed as
important.
well, right? You're
If not, a
refreshed.
lot of people also sleep off.
Yeah.
They sleep off during meditation. But a good bath, I think, will not, at least it will not make you, I mean, it will not make you sleepy, I feel. I mean, yeah, after bathe also a lot of people can sleep. So there's no, but I mean, from an energy standpoint, I really think that you need to take bath and do your
Very good.
meditation. Yeah. And sit in your asana, I mean, asana, sorry, not asana, asana, your mat. You sit on that. You do it consistently, do it at the same time. So there are a lot of these things that really help you advance quickly.
Yeah.
Mm,
I recently was told by somebody who does meditation that not only just like you said, sit in the asana, but she was telling me that the way she practices that the same place that she
Yeah.
does the meditation as well. It's not like one day you sat at this corner and then the next day you're sitting here, or you thought of, okay, now I'm going to just sit in my chair and do it. And it's not like that. So she was like, it's a specific place that is made for her, and she's just using that space just for meditation, and there's no other space but just that spot. And so
That space.
I was like, okay, that's pretty interesting because I honestly I love meditation. I try to do meditation, but for me, it's more of wherever, whenever I get a chance to.
See,
But I do want to put
that is
into the
also
practice
great.
as well, but I do want to get into a deeper mode of that. But yeah, it's for me, it's like whenever, wherever I get a chance, and I can really cool off myself. I love it. And the best for me that works is right before going to bed. I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that because it's like it's really peaceful, quiet. I'm just laying down flat, and I'm like, a lot of times we think that when you shut your eyes, you're gonna go to bed, you're gonna fall asleep, but it's not that. You don't actually fall asleep. It's like once you done with the meditation, and then you feel like, okay, like, yeah, now I'm ready to go to bed, like, and I love that. I truly love that. And I started doing that after reading the yogi. What is that?
the life of a
The
yogi.
the life of a yogi.
Yeah, Paramhansa, the
That's
life of a yogi. I
Paraman.
started doing that after reading that.
I'm taking you into the other side of it. So 3 a.m. club sounds really great, right? You wake up in the morning and everything, and you do all the rituals and everything. How do you keep up or balance with social life after 8? Because if your life, you're sleeping at 8 o'clock, right? And you're young. What do? You tell your friends, hey, I can't come anywhere, or I cannot be with someone after 8 because I gotta go to sleep because I gotta wake up at 3 a.m. I mean, how do you balance that?
So there's breakfast, there are morning walks, there's brunch, there is lunch, there is evening coffee.
You're telling them to change their lifestyle to accommodate to yours.
Asking them to change. What I'm asking them is, you are going to have lunch, have it with me. You are going to go for the coffee, have it with me. It's simple
Wow.
like that. And I think now it's been so many years that now people No, like I'm in Madurai right now at my mom's place. My brother, the first thing he said is like, "Yahan pe na, there's a very great dosa place, but it just opens at 7:30. Now you be prepared for that. I'm gonna take you one day." So I'm like, "Yeah, why not? Let's go." But no, there's not a lot of rigidity around that.
Right.
That the days can happen 8:45. There are times. There are times when it's 8:30. There are times when there are guests at home, and the conversations are so beautiful that you don't want to be sleeping. You want to be a
Mm.
part of the conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're rare. That's the whole point. Like
Yeah.
there's a friend of ours when he comes from Chennai. I think our conversations are like into the night till about 11, 12, 1.
Yeah.
So, but that's not like every week he comes
Every
or every
yeah.
month he comes. Whenever the moment asks for it, when you feel like flowing with it, you flow. To Arti's point on meditation, this is exactly what I wanted to share with her, that when people say, right, that this is the only place for meditation, I think they are talking of a little serious meditation practice, or they're becoming
Right.
very, they are following only the spiritual path. But
Right.
for people like us who are into the day to day, I think a 5 minute just sitting down, watching my breath right before a very important meeting is
Yeah.
also something that I feel grounds us, helps us. So why not? And
Right.
Right.
say I wake up at 9 today because of something that I had to accomplish. And I want that me time or my mind time for at least 10 minutes before I kickstart, like Aarti was saying. Why not? Why do we then look out for the place? If you're able to connect, you connect anywhere. Like how the
Exactly.
Japanese or the Shaolin system is. The Zen system, for example, they say that
Yeah.
even grooming. So I remember an incident. I was very irritated again, I think a year back or so, the last year. And I went to one of our Jain monks and I said, I'm irritated. I'm not able to meditate. And then it's been like almost a month now, and somehow something is not falling up, together and things like that. She said, "You have not meditated only all these years, Prachi." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, you have not meditated because if you don't treat your everyday routine activity as meditation, then
Yeah.
it hasn't seeped into you.
Mm.
Yeah.
Why are you getting irritated? Only closing eyes and sitting in a place, is that what you call meditation?" So I said, I mean, okay. So then she said, "Why not?" Then of course, I've seen a lot of these Japanese and Shaolin sort of movies, and I'm like, yeah, but then, they're brooming, that's meditative. They're cooking, that's meditative.
Yep.
So doing only one thing at a time is so
Yeah.
meditative in itself. So so I then started to realize and put it in practice honestly and say, okay, now honestly, Aarti, you won't believe, I'm not now itching. I have a place, I have a space, I have a very sacred space in home where I do sit for hours, if at all. There are days also, when I really need that bit of grounding a little bit. And I'm almost there for half a day, doing everything from that space. So it gives me energy. But then there are also days I'm unable to because say we are sick and she's sick for a good like the last time she was sick.
Right.
Honestly, if you ask me, she's still not recovered. She's
Yeah.
still very lean. Her hunger is not come back, and we still are figuring out what's the issue. But I'm like, okay, now taking care of her is also meditate, state of flow. So this comes, and even yesterday we were with a Jain monk, and I was discussing all of my experiences of meditation with him, and he said it's different for everyone. It's not the same. If you have, say, a humming or a sound here, for example, she might have it in her heart chakra, for example. So it's not the same, because all our journeys, if we believe in the past lives and things like that, it's more complex. So
Yeah.
then we're probably on the same path towards wherever we need to go as destination, but we could be in different places in the path. You could be before me, I could be way far behind you, but there will be a time where I will also go there after you probably, but we're going to the same place.
Same place. Yeah.
So when he explained it yesterday and he said it's not the same for same and it's different for different people. And so I was like, so you cannot blanket it, and because we don't want to commercialize everything.
Yeah.
Everything we want to commercialize. So you can't commercialize things until unless they're not straight, they're not simple. Cut
Yeah.
down into like wake up, do this 5 minutes, do this app, and then you're good to go. This is meditation. No, like Aarti was saying, for her, it's the night time. Please, please do that because that's so sacred that
Yeah.
intuitively comes to you. And
Yeah.
this is for everyone who's listening that, meditation is very personalized. It's
Yeah.
not, someone cannot give you a prescription and say, go have it.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can find hundreds of ways of meditation online. You can listen to so many different people who will tell you different techniques of meditation. But I think at the end of the day, because even for me, I've heard so many people, I've read so many books about it. And at the end of the day, like you're saying, for me, one thing clicked and it clicked. And
Like, yeah,
now it just makes it so much easier for me to even have that 5 minutes or 10 minutes and just take that ease, like the pressure off,
yeah,
and just feel so good, energetic again, that it makes a huge difference. And everybody
absolutely.
they just have to find their own way or their own technique of doing it. And it's an
Right.
amazing, I
Yeah.
feel like if everybody can do meditation, it's so good.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
for, I would say, 5 minutes, do it because it
Do it.
will change your life. It'll really change it. I love it. And
Right.
And
hopefully,
everybody feels and their experience is different. So once they are in
Yeah.
that meditative, journey, everybody feels different. And but there's always positive out of it. You sit down. Nobody has like, I meditated, but I hated it. I don't think anyone would say that because
Yeah.
you will feel some sort of enlightenment. You'll feel some sort of, if nothing, it will make you wind down at
yeah,
least,
Yeah.
right? It will clear your mind and it will wind you down from all the things that's going on. At least it will give you some sort of focus, some clarity.
yeah.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, now we should do more and more of meditation.
Yeah, 100%. We should do that more. But Prachi, this has been such a great conversation, and your journey reminds us that creativity, business, and self expression can all flow together, just like the perfect brew. It's called about balance and intention, right? And
Right.
thank you for sharing your story with such an openness. And it's such a joy talking about the tea, the storytelling, the 3 a.m., our meditation, and everything around. So we really appreciate your time. And you've given us a reminder that whether it's a cup of tea or a blank page, or there's always a magic waiting, right, to be created. So slow down and truly experience it. So we truly appreciate it. And to all our listeners, if you've enjoyed our conversation today, don't forget to subscribe to Global Desi Women and share this episode to someone who could really have a dose of inspiration and maybe start meditation. And of course, check out Prachi's work. We will link her book and her Instagram account and also her website for the tea box in our description. So please do check that out. And until next time, keep sipping, keep dreaming, and keep shining. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you so much.